Hello!
Woohoo!
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Friday with Friends.
Friday with Friends.
Friday with Friends is the friend teams. It's really our platform to talk about what's happening in the market right now, to talk about the questions that are coming up in the market, and so that we're able to answer those questions that our current clients, our previous clients, and you as our future clients have, so that when you have real estate questions, we're going to be your realtor of choice that you can connect with.
Perfect.
I'm sure it's a little risky.
Gosh.
Party!
Can we believe, real talk, it's snowing and it's April 6th?
It's snowing, but you know what? We want to say sorry about it because we're to blame.
You're to blame?
Yes. We're to blame because we got the most amazing jackets.
And I have
Look
them
at how cute they are.
because it's freezing.
It says the friend team on the back. We got them from LLB. Shout out.
Keller Williams on the front.
And we got them in February, and we were like, aw, shucks. We're not going to get a lot of life out of them. And here we are in April. And
Still wearing them.
Still wearing them.
They've got the fur on the inside for, the snow in the spring. I'm a little bitter about it. I've been out on appointments all day, trekking through the snow. I can't even see if one of my sellers has a patio. I'm like, is there a patio out there? I can't tell because we have 3 inches of snow.
So needless to say, we just want to say that we're sorry about
blame Mandy.
about wanting there to be cold to wear our jackets, and now we totally regret it, and we are sorry again.
But spring will be here eventually.
Yeah, so just some housekeeping things. If you are on, let us know where you are watching from. Thank you so much for all of the interaction that we've been getting. We love it. Second of all, hashtag live if you're watching this live, hashtag replay if you're watching this later, to make sure that we don't miss any comments and we can answer any specific questions that you have. And we love it when you share. Help us by sharing the message to reach as many people as we can. So share. We would absolutely love it and appreciate it.
Hashtag share.
Hashtag share. All right, so what's the topic for today?
All right, so today's topic is, I like to say, what the heck is a contingency and how am I protected? So a lot of times we hear attorneys and real estate agents talking about what is a contingency. And a lot of times our clients might not have any idea, and it's really a way that you're protected. So we're going to talk about a lot of the common contingencies that we see in this market and in offers, every day. But basically a contingency is something that protects you, almost like a loophole. We can kind of call it a loophole.
A way to get out of the contract.
A way to get out of the contract. So if you could submit an offer with A, B, and C contingencies, if any of those fail or don't work out, we can walk away from the contract, both as a buyer and as a seller.
Yes, and in this market today, everything's moving so quickly that people are feeling really nervous. And if you are a buyer or a seller out there in the market and you know how crazy it is, give us a quick like and a love, because it's nuts. You have to make decisions really, really quickly, and it's scary. But if you know how you're protected going in, you can make very, very educated decisions so that you're feeling protected.
Right, because a lot of our clients think, oh my gosh, when I sign this contract, the house is mine. Or when I sign this contract, the house is sold. And there's really so many loopholes and contingencies and things like that we need to work through. So it's not just you sign an offer. There's a lot of hurdles and things that we need to get through, but those are ultimately what protect you as well.
Yes. So that's what we want to do today, is go through some of those important contingencies and the ways that you're protected, and then really just talk about, the feeling around all those too.
Sounds so great.
Okay, all right, Abby, you start.
You want to say hi to everyone that's come on? Hi, Brittany. Hi, Devin.
Hi, guys. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Liz, hey, girl. Hey, Michelle. Okay, so feel free to, guys, chime in. If you're a realtor that's on here, too, let us know some extra thoughts or some insights that you're seeing, just in this market, too. So, so we'll start off with the first one. So we're going to go through kind of the big ones, and then we'll, chat a little bit more on those. So first one is the attorney approval contingency. We are not lawyers, so we cannot say, you sign this document, they sign this document, it's an official document. In New York, being the good old attorney state is the way that us realtors refer to it, and I'm sure other people do too. But an attorney approval means that we sign a contract, that we send it off to the seller agrees to it, it is officially a signed contract. it is only what we say 80% is how we like to gauge it with our clients. You can get excited, but until both parties have their respective attorneys review it with them, they do not have an official contract.
Right.
So the attorney has to approve it. Now you would think that that's fine. Okay, that's normal. Well, in a multiple offer situation, or in a situation like that's this crazy market, we could have a contract 100% solid signed. We send it off to the attorneys for them to review. The seller could get another offer that comes in, and they could disapprove our contract for no other reason than they're disapproving it. And ultimately, it's to go with the other offer.
Right. And, it's definitely, again, one of those loopholes. But as a buyer's agent and as a buyer, you want to make sure that you're getting those attorney approvals as quickly as possible so that doesn't happen. And that's where, our team works with some awesome attorneys to make sure that, hey, we've got this contract. We're going to get it off to our attorneys, and we're going to get that baby approved today. So neither party, can walk away for any reason, because that's really what it is. Before you have attorney approvals on both sides, any party can walk away. So we want to get that binding as quick as we can.
And really the whole point of it is that you understand the contract. Within our team, we are so education based, where we want you to know you're not just going to be signing because we say to sign it. You're going to really know what it means, but that it's meant to protect you as a seller and as a buyer to know what you're signing. So that's how we have to think about it. But real life application, that's kind of the challenges that we're seeing.
Yeah, that's a great point. And there might be some attorney lingo in there that you want to double check and review with your attorney. So it's definitely a good contingency, again, but it does allow either party to walk away from the deal, and that's the reality of it. So that's why we like to get those suckers approved as quick as we can.
Yes.
At least I make myself laugh. Okay,
let's get them approved. Okay, so the second one, inspections.
Is the inspection. So typically your attorney approval, once an offer gets accepted, the attorney approval happens within...
Sorry, I'm just plugging in the phone because it was low battery.
Do it.
Go, girl, go. Keep going.
So once the offer is accepted by both parties, the attorney approval will happen within the first few days. Once the attorney approval happens, that's when we like to get our inspection scheduled within maybe a week or 10 days of the offer being accepted. We could have a whole nother Friday with friends, and we probably will about the inspection. Because there's so many different types of inspections that you can have. You have your standard engineer's inspection, and that's where you have an inspector, a licensed inspector, come through the house with their flashlight and everything for like 2 hours. A typical inspection is to make sure that everything is good at the house. They'll look at your appliances and your heating and your electrical and your plumbing and all of those good things. That's probably the most standard one. And then there's a ton of other inspections that you can have. If you're on a septic and well, those are pretty standard to have both of those inspected prior to closing. What else do we have? We have radon. We have a chimney inspection.
Yes, I think those are the big ones. And really what the inspection is intended for is for you to understand how the home works as well. But then also to make sure what the seller is telling us is accurate. We had a situation where they said, brand new roof last year, and it was a brand new roof, but it was a third layer. So that's not to us an okay situation to say that it's a brand new roof. So that was an opportunity for us to say, hey guys, we put this offer in based off that. And after the inspection, it could be an opportunity for renegotiation if we need to. We like to not have it be so much for renegotiation because our job is to get as much information as we can initially. But it's really anything that has been misrepresented, anything that everyone thought was functioning and it's not functioning. Those kind of situations really make it so that when we're going through that inspection, you're protected to say, hey, listen, this wasn't what I was, what I thought I was getting into. And you have a professional telling you. I mean, these inspectors, they've gone through a million houses.
They've been in so many houses, and that's where, again, it's another one of these contingencies where if there's something that you didn't like or you don't feel comfortable with, that's your opportunity to say, okay, well, I'm gonna walk away. And of course, we, for our buyers who love their houses, we want to make, negotiate or anything along those lines to keep the deal together if possible. But there are some instances where, there's big issues that buyers just don't want to take on, and it's their opportunity to walk away and really be protected.
Yes. And what I will say too is in this market right now, sometimes if we have a client who knows a lot about houses, they feel really confident. This is a contingency that a buyer may waive in order to make their, thank you so much.
Great point.
That the buyer may waive in order to look better when they're competing with 10 other offers.
Right. And that's where you really want to make sure that we always say, keep your inspection. You know, obviously there might be scenarios where you look more appealing to a seller if you waive it, but we always recommend to go through that extra step because you never know. But there are some of our clients who are contractors themselves. Yes. They've invested in 14 houses and they know what they're looking for, or maybe they're purchasing it as a flip and they don't care about anything because they're going to be changing it anyways. Those are some of the instances where we see people waiving the inspections, but we typically recommend to just keep it, especially as a first-time home buyer, and make sure that you're feeling comfortable with the house.
And that it's every person is unique. This is just another way for you to be protected. And the more you're protected, the more the seller might say, well, here's another way that they could potentially get out of the house. But for us, if it's especially a first-time home buyer, we're strongly encouraging it. And ultimately, our clients are in the driver's seat, so we can just educate and inform as much as we can.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. Number three. We love counting. I think that's where my brain goes. So the third piece, the third one is mortgage. So you are protected through attorney approvals, through inspections, and then the last piece is a mortgage. And ultimately what this means is if you can't obtain your mortgage, you're not stuck having to find $100,000 somewhere. You are able to get out of it. And this one's kind of twofold. It's one, in order to obtain the mortgage, you need to be able to officially have the bank give you that mortgage. That means there's going to be that re-review. Remember how we talked about the pre-approvals in the previous Friday with Friends? You're going to have gone in with a pre-approval saying, hey, they've already looked at all this stuff, but this is kind of the final stretch to make sure that you're approved. The other piece to this mortgage contingency is that the bank also needs to see that the house is worth what they're loaning you.
Right.
Because if the buyer is not, or if the bank gives you that loan and then you as the buyer are unable to pay the bank your mortgage, they need to be able to know that they could take the home from you, resell it, and make their money back.
Right. And that's the appraisal piece.
Yes.
So going back to kind of the first piece, this is really where, prior to submitting any offer, we're already communicating with a bank. So we feel really confident that this won't really be an issue. But, there's some instances where, our jobs, we always say they aren't always rainbows and butterflies. We have some really tough experiences with some of our clients in the past, but, maybe they write an offer and then they lose their job or something happens.
Yes.
And that's that first section that was Mandy was talking about, where we could get out of the deal, walk away, and again, you're not, finding a way to pay for that house. So that's the first piece.
Yes.
And then appraisal really being the second piece. So if you write an offer and maybe there's multiple offers, and we see this a lot, and you get up to, let's say it was listed at 100,000 and we get up to 110, the bank is going to appraise the property and they're going to say, this isn't worth 110, and they don't feel comfortable loaning that much out.
Mm-hmm. And that's why if you don't have this contingency, aka your cash, the seller really likes that because they don't have to worry about someone else coming. They don't have to worry about you being able to obtain the mortgage. Even if you have a rock star pre-approval, cash is just guaranteed. Right. Or they want to make sure that the bank is able to loan you that kind of money. So
does a cash deal require buyer hat
on?
Does a cash deal have a pre-approval, or how does that work?
Great question.
Oh, thank you.
Great question, buyer. So what she's ultimately getting to is the fact that anytime you have a cash deal, you are going in with an acknowledgement from a financial institution that you do have that cash to come in.
Got it.
So that's why it's your
proof of funds.
A proof of funds.
Yeah. Proof for the funds that you have. To buy the house.
All right, fabulous. So those are the big three ways that you're protected. Attorney approval to review it to make sure you legally know what you're signing. The second one is that you have the inspection. So you're able to get whoever you want your representative to be to make sure the house is in condition and what you're not kind of really getting into a money pit unless that's what you're expecting, which is reality. And then the third piece, I was like,
Is that how you do 3?
No.
Some people do it like this.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, the third
Got
one
off on a tangent
is mortgage to make sure that you are protected, that you can obtain the mortgage, and that the bank will give you the mortgage.
Okay, got it.
So some extra ones that we want to get into. We want to
Yeah.
get into kind of just some ones that you could also write in and how they're impacted in today's market.
So those are definitely the big 3. I would say the next most common one that we see is a sale and transfer of title contingency. Mm-hmm. That's a really big, long phrase for basically saying, I have a house to sell before I can buy my new house. Not a lot of people out there can afford 2 mortgages or have any reason to hold 2 houses for no reason. So what we do is we put a contingency in there saying, I want to buy 123 Main Street, but I have to sell my house on 123 South Main Street first. And
moving up the street.
Moving right up Main Street. So that's a pretty common contingency. What? Megan's typing.
Almost as good as
so that's a really common contingency is that, hey, seller, I want to buy your house, but I need to sell my house first. There's lots of different, inside working parts to that contingency, but that's the general idea. So a lot of times if, we want to buy this house, but we have to sell our house first and our house doesn't sell for whatever reason, you can then get out of your future purchase.
Yeah, so it doesn't tie you to the fact that you financially can't afford it. And in this market, if I'm a seller and I have buyers beating down my door, why would I ever pick something that's contingent on sale and transfer of title? Because they have to sell their house. They may sell their house, and then that buyer has to be able to go through all these contingencies.
It's a big domino effect.
So in this market, when you're going in contingent, it's a real challenge for us to be able to find you that house. Mm-hmm. So that's where the sale and transfer of title contingency, it's important to know how it works, but then also important to know what it looks like in this seller's market right now. So sale and transfer of title is a challenge. The other side, do you have anything more to talk about?
No, I'm excited to see what you're going to say.
So the other side is we have a deal, and if you're out here, Tiffany, you can like on this, but we're going through a deal right now where the seller is saying that they want to make their offer, so any incoming offers to their home, subject to the seller finding suitable housing. So it's kind of on that front side. So they're saying, listen, I'll sell you my house, but I need to make sure that I can find another house in 30 days. Now, this is what the risk is, and we're talking to our clients, and they have a lease that they have to get out of, and that unknown is really tough for them. That the reality is if they sign that contract in 30 days, at any point in that 30 days, after we get the offer and potentially stop looking for other houses, that seller could say, I've changed my mind. I couldn't find it.
I couldn't find that next house.
So then they cancel the contract, and our buyers are back at square one.
Yeah.
So that was a long conversation we had very late last night.
But
we needed to figure out if we were comfortable doing that, because we have people that they live at the home, and they really trust that the sellers want to move. They just need to find the right house, and they say, hey, we're at 30 days, but can you give us another week? Can you give us another week? And our buyers are saying, that's fine. If no one else will do it, I will, because I need a house right now and I have that flexibility with closing. Yeah. So there are buyers out there that can have that. But a seller, you can write it subject to seller finding suitable housing, and you may just find that buyer that'll work, but you're probably not going to get the best amount of value for that home if that contingency is built in there, because not a lot of buyers will be willing to do that.
You go from a buyer pool of 100% to maybe 40% that are willing to wait for you to find that next house. So these, again, are all different types of contingencies that protect you when writing an offer or being a seller in a situation. So really, you can write a contingency for pretty much whatever you want. As long as it's written in the contract, that then protects you either buying or selling a house. Most of the contingencies do protect the buyer, I would say. So, first-time home buyers, that really allows them to feel a little bit more comfortable when writing an offer. But basically, you can write it for whatever you want.
What are the strangest contingencies you've ever seen?
What are the strangest contingencies I've ever seen? I would say one that I see more often than you would expect is, let's say a house comes on the market and there's a husband and wife, and the wife is out of town.
Okay.
Something like that. And they want to write an offer. They will make it contingent on the wife seeing the house within 7 days or something like that. And it's basically saying, we're serious about this house enough to write an offer without her seeing it. but we want her to be able to walk through the house maybe prior to spending the money on inspection or something like that, just to get her to sign off on it.
And in a normal market, that would probably work. In today's market, it would be like FaceTime and remove that contingency.
Get her up on Skype or FaceTime.
Some other strange contingencies that we've seen or even heard about too is where there was a family who was nervous about pickup and how traffic was in this street, in this neighborhood. So it was subject to them on Monday sitting in the driveway and seeing what the school bus route was like and how many kids are getting on and how many cars are driving by, and just making sure that they were comfortable with, the school bus and the atmosphere and the environment in that specific neighborhood.
I've heard even a story on that where they made it contingent on sitting in on the deck after school time, because what they found was that they were on like a corner lot right by a school, so all the kids would walk through the yard to go to the other street or whatever, and so they would sit on the deck and they saw like all of these kids walking through their backyard, and the seller was like, no, we don't, they have no issues with it, and they made it contingent on them sitting there, and they saw a ton of people come through, and so the sellers were like, okay, well, we'll get a fence up before closing or something like that. And so they were able to keep the deal together. But, you can really make a contingency for whatever you want to protect yourself.
And that's really what the whole point of this conversation is if there's an objection that you have on a house, you're like, man, I'm really worried that this is going to happen. I'm really worried that this is going to happen. You may be able to be protected while still writing an offer, so that you're in that relationship with that seller or that buyer, so that we can have that relationship. And then it's just these extra things that we need to check off, because that's really how you're going to be able to feel comfortable and not, really nervous, especially in this crazy market right now.
Yeah, and I think that, another point is really just, it's always a case-by-case basis. There's some deals where that you're competing with multiple offers and you don't maybe have the luxury to have multiple contingencies, or a house has been on the market for a long time, you're the only offer. Throw those bad boys in there. I should stop saying bad boys, maybe, as a contingency.
But yeah, so we hope that this gives you a little bit of insight in all the ways that our team and, a lot of the great realtors out there do protect you as a buyer, as a seller, so that you're really feeling confident going forward, and especially how they each pertain to this market. So you can have in your mind, should I be considering an inspection contingency, or would I ever consider waiving that, and what is my comfort level, so that when you have an hour to make a decision, you've already thought about all of those things.
Yep, because things are moving quick in this market. So really having a good idea of what's my comfort level, what contingencies do I have, and how does that compare to maybe another buyer who's offering the same price. And at that point, in a multiple offer situation, if you have offer A and B and they're both at 109.9, you might have to, the seller's going to start looking at terms and which one has less contingencies and is more desirable for the seller. So it's all things that are a case-by-case basis, but it's definitely a good idea to start looking at them early on and having these thoughts.
Yes. Well, fabulous. Well, I think that wraps it up. You got anything else?
No.
So we'll also say, if you know of anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest, please let us know. We are very short on listing inventory. So if you are a seller, or you know of a seller maybe that was thinking about listing in the next few years, it is definitely worth bringing someone from our team out to be able to analyze it and to see, what kind of money you can really get, and if this might be that great opportunity for you to, get the most out of your home.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any other things or any other comments that you or topics that you want us to speak to on Friday with Friends, feel free to message us. This is our platform to let you, our past clients or future clients, to really know what's going on in the marketplace, so that when you do have any real estate needs, that we would love to answer and be your realtor of choice. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.